Hey everybody, welcome to Q&A video number 45. It's been quite a while since I've done a Q&A, isn't it? But anyway, make sure you keep asking questions. Doesn't matter what they're about, they can be about anything. Just know that I don't respond to review requests or Let's Play requests in these videos, but we'll respond to them in the comments. You can post your questions in the comments below, you can send them to me via PM, or you can put them in the appropriate section of the forums or on my Steam group. There's a discussion topic available for that. Gameplay in the background is Call of Duty Black Ops 2 multiplayer, because I played the free weekend and happened to get a couple of clips of gameplay, so I'll probably upload the other one as just a straight-up gameplay clip, but I'm using this one for Q&A. So, yeah, let's start with a question from RevUp26. What's the most disgustingly perverse and sick game you've ever seen in your life in terms of violence, blood, gore, poor taste, perversion, and sexual content, regardless of if it's commercial or non-commercial? Well, if you're talking about a game where it's just for the sake of being that way, not serving a purpose, then there's a lot of games out there that are like that. All sorts of things that it kind of makes me sick that I even know that they exist. Not even that I've played them, it's just that I know they exist, and it hurts me that these games exist. So, I'm not really going to talk about those, but the one that always comes to mind when I think of disgusting, but it fits the game really well, is I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. That game is horrifying, because it's so disgusting and perverse. And if you haven't played it, then understand that it doesn't come across as gimmicky just being disgusting or perverse for the sake of being disgusting or perverse. It comes across as having a point. And it's actually a really interesting game. It's kind of an old school point and click kind of thing to some degree, but it's kind of a hard game to describe. You just kind of have to see it to understand it. And it's just a really interesting game because it's so disgusting and perverse and does it so well. It doesn't use it just to be that way. It uses it to push a certain message or a certain feel to the game, and it works out really, really well. It's actually a very interesting game because of that. I know I sound like a broken record here, but anyway. Anyway, let's move on to a question from Dragon Eye Studios. Do you like to watch movies? If so, what kinds? I'm pretty sure I've answered this before, just in speech and before, but it used to be on my channel page when they still had that sort of thing, but yeah, I like watching movies. I like watching a lot of different types of movies, whether it be action, sci-fi, fantasy, drama, you name it, I've probably seen it. The only one I don't really like, as far as the genre goes, is romance. Also because they're really sappy. But, there's a lot of movies out there. If you want some of my favorites, then I'm really into westerns. Like, especially the spaghetti westerns, like The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, or Once Upon a Time in the West. Man Who Shot Liberty Valance is a great one. All sorts of different westerns out there. Sci-fi movies, whether it be Star Wars, original trilogy, of course, and the original versions, of course, not the special editions, so to speak, although they aren't that bad, or the prequel trilogy. Ugh, we don't talk about that. Indiana Jones, all sorts of different movies like that. Blade Runner, I really like Blade Runner. I could go on for quite a long time about movies that I like, so I'm not going to. So, yeah. But you get the idea. There's a lot of movies out there that I like, and you can ask me about specific movies if you want, because I've seen a lot of movies, and it would take me way too long to go over them in a video. Anyway, let's move on to a question from Warfighter. Do you think the next-gen consoles will blow current ones out of the water, and do you think they will be extremely overpriced? Knowing what we know now, probably. On the second part, at least at launch they probably will be overpriced. I mean, as far as blowing the current ones out of the water, it's hard not to, considering that you're talking about consoles that have run longer than any other generation of consoles to date, and my PC is more powerful than those, and it was built in 2008. So that should tell you something. Suffice to say, I think the new consoles will certainly be much more powerful than the previous ones, but that's not really saying all that much. So, yeah. I don't think they'll blow the current ones out of the water in terms of their visual quality or anything like that, though. So, you'll probably see some much better visuals and and such like that, but I don't really think they're going to just be mind-bogglingly amazing or something like that.
Hardcore domination.
Next one's from MJ1284. Regarding pre-orders, do you think that developers and publishers shouldn't be allowed to release a game at full price despite knowing it still contains bugs? It depends on the bugs. I mean, there's literally no software on the planet that has ever released bug-free. What they do, knowing what I know from a computer science standpoint, basically what happens is they release the product, and they get the bug reports, and they fix the bugs that are reported by the most number of people. You work on what is affecting the most of your clients, and then go from there. Like Windows, for instance. They release Windows, and there are tons of bugs, although with Microsoft you might as well call them features. But anyway, there are tons and tons of bugs in operating systems when they're released, but they fix a lot of the issues that people see over time. Because they cannot just anticipate every single hardware combination out there. There's thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, of different combinations of hardware that will come up for various PCs. So you can't anticipate every single bug and squash them all before you release it. It's literally impossible. So what you do is you release a product that is as bug-free to as many people as possible, and then if a lot of people are experiencing problems, then you fix those problems after release. That's normal for software development. So it's completely understandable why certain games get released and there's maybe a few rare issues that certain people experience, but for the most part, people are fine with it and don't have any issues. But if you're releasing a product that is incredibly buggy to the point where almost nobody can run it, then there is a serious problem, and you should definitely not release that product. Use some more time for Q&A or something. Or QA, I should say. Sorry. But you need to fix the game-breaking bugs first. And you need to do that before you release your game. Because if you release a game with game-breaking bugs, there's a serious problem, and you should definitely be called out for it. Next one is from Omega Wolf Studios. Do you think there's going to be a second gaming crash soon? Sort of. There's one guy on YouTube who really likes to rant about the second game crash, and that would be Razor Fist. And you can see a lot of where he's coming from on that. But I don't think we're ever going to see anything quite as bad as 1983 all over again. Because 1983 was really bad. And there are safeguards basically built into the industry now to where that a catastrophe of that level for the industry could not happen. So we're certainly in a decline, and it is certainly possible that you'll see a sort of crash, but it's probably not going to be anywhere near as bad as 1983 was, and we can probably just fix everything from that. So it shouldn't be that big of a deal if we do have one, but we'll see what happens. There might be one, there might not be. Anyway, that was Q&A 45. Make sure you keep asking questions, and I will catch you guys in later videos.